The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is John Silver, lead recruiter of the Dark Order, and you are listening to All Things Elite.
Welcome everyone to a special 162nd episode of Social Suplex Podcast about AEW with proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. Yes, this is starting off weird. You are hearing my voice. There is a special reason for that. And before we get to that reason, we have a special guest this week. Our frequent collaborator, one of my tag team partners, and probably the person that I speak to most on this earth. It is Mr. J.R. Perez. How you doing today, J.R.?
I am doing well. It's been a while since I've been on the show, as I think everybody knows that we've kind of essentially get back to our normal. And with that, in the I can't remember the last time I was on the show, but this whole last summer, focusing on getting my summer program up and running again, which was successful, and getting the new school year started. Last week was our first day of school. Everybody's beautiful faces are back on campus. Thousands of students everywhere. So it's been a fun, adventurous time at my university. And then on top of that, I was able to finally, after a 3-year wait, to get overseas to Europe, chance to visit London for UFC Fight Night, as well as taking a Progress show, and then got a chance to head out to Paris to visit the sites in Paris during the summer. So it was a very eventful last few months. So it's good to be back talking to you guys some AEW wrestling.
Thank you for joining us, JR. I just like with it being All Out weekend, and we're going to do the All Out preview at the end of the show. Well, as much as we can preview, much has been announced. I really wanted to have you on to make the show just feel a little fuller. And last but not least, my co-host, the voice of this show. I talk about loving him, but he had a bit of a rough week. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, and Austin, take it from here.
Hey guys, I don't know how you guys have spent your week, and quite frankly, at this point, I don't care, because right now, I'm not in a good place. I'm really not, and I'm sure most of you probably already know why I'm not in a good place, and you know what's coming. But we're gonna take things slow for a second, all right? We're just gonna take a little bit of time before I fly off the handle like I'm going to, and also, it's quite funny about how last week we made the joke about wow, Austin's being a little bit more negative than usual. That's so funny. I was negative last week, was I? You don't know negative. And AEW obviously seemingly wanted to test how far they could get me to go. So let's continue down this road a little bit. We'll preface this, and I'm going to make this a little bit longer. But also, get the shilling out of the way. Listen to us on Google, Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Spotify, give us a share. You can leave a rating and a review. You can follow us on Twitter, @ATElitePod. At Social Suplex make this show possible. I am at Austin Sumowitz. I'm not spelling it. You should know it by now. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter, and JR is at Lucha Professor. So that's that. The shilling is done. So, of course, we're going to talk about all AEW related stuff on this show and Dynamite. And I got to say, Dynamite had some good stuff in it. And they actually did a lot of good things leading up to what I'm about to mention right now, because I can't hold this back at all. We got a lot of good things. Floyd, I know, had a very nice night on Wednesday with his FTR boys getting a little bit more of an idea of what was happening at All Out. I'm sure he was very happy. And as a Michigan man, I was also very happy about that. And we'll get to that when we get to that. However, after we got through a few other things and we got to the secondary main event, wasn't even the main event. That's how fucking wasn't even the main event. But regardless, we had my man, CM Punk, the AEW World Champion, facing off against the interim champion, Jon Moxley. And CM Punk went for a head kick in the match, re-injured his foot. Moxley proceeded to lay into CM Punk, hit 2 Death Riders, and pinned Punk in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. 3 minutes and some change to become the new AEW World Champion. I am on this show for this episode because I am contractually obligated. I do not want to be here. I do not want to be around anybody right now. I have secluded myself from all contact on social media, on anything. Because, and I mean this with all sincerity, this is the worst thing that has ever happened in this company, and I am done. I'm straight up done. You spent how much money to bring in CM Punk? We barely passed a full year since CM Punk returned to wrestling after 7 years. Since he decided to grace this company with his presence and actually have a little bit of a money draw on it. And now you give my guy little over 3 minutes and you take the AEW championship in his first title defense, and it wasn't even in the main event, and it was on free TV. He got like a few punches and a kick. One of the greatest kicks I've ever seen. Bobby Fish can shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear from Bobby Fish on, oh, your kick is wrong. Draw money and then talk. All right? Draw money and then talk. You gave him 3 minutes. You gave CM Punk 3 minutes before you knocked him on his ass. And I got no word on what Punk's doing on All Out. I got no word. It's his hometown. It's the city that the Second City Saint made. And I don't know what he's doing at All Out. I got to listen to Rampage. I turn on Rampage. Oh, there's a reason why I don't watch Rampage, because we get to see them fucking hammer in the home of, oh, CM Punk's foot's hurt. Oh, and Cleveland, Ohio. There's a reason why, as a Michigander, I hate the state of Ohio. Cleveland, you especially. That city has fucked over CM Punk so many times, whether it be UFC, whether it be WWE, pushing him into a corner and making him have to walk out with all the bullshit that he went through. Cleveland, Ohio is garbage and will always be garbage, and you are number 1 on my shit list. And you will forever be like that.
So bad LeBron left it twice. I just had to throw that.
Yes, exactly. Now, Floyd, don't interrupt me again. I'm not playing right now, though you do make a good point. This is the worst thing AEW has ever done in the history of their company. It nearly got me to stop watching. And hell, with how well WWE seemingly has been doing, I almost jumped ship. Because that's how mad I am right now. And it's been nearly a full week since you guys are listening to this, and I'm still not over it. And we are just a few days away before All Out in Chicago, Illinois, at what was the Sears Center and is now the Now Arena. I still don't know what CM Punk is doing, and I want to know now. So, this company has severely pissed me off, and they have to do a lot of fucking begging and pleading and fucking making up to CM Punk and myself if they want either of us to come back. Because you do not piss off your money draw like that by giving him a 3-minute match. I don't want to hear nothing about the backstage fucking drama with the people who need to act like adults and realize that CM Punk is the man who sold out United Center on a fucking rumor. Act like adults. Know who's here, who's making money. Act like adults. I want everything in that locker room to have a full cleansing and understand that your locker room leader is CM Punk. Your money draw is CM Punk. Your true champion in this company is CM Punk. And I will not stand until this is fixed. And if it's not, by all out. If I don't get some fucking reclaiming of what that man is owed, what that man is truly deserved, I'm leaving the show. It's that simple. I drew the line in the sand right now. You fix CM Punk now, or I leave the show. I'm only here right now because I'm contractually obligated and I'm doing this for my friends. You will not get any more kindness out of me. Fix this shit now. I'm done.
Hey, everybody. That was Austin, and he was rightfully upset. We're going to get into me and JR's reaction. Actually, let's go to JR first. JR, give me your unfettered direct reaction. I actually know it because, we were talking afterwards, but let everyone know your direct reaction to the match, which is, if you want to call it that, Mox versus CM Punk.
I think my immediate reaction was I couldn't believe what I just saw, and I'm gonna say two things. Before the match, like the hours before proceeding, I had a conversation with Floyd knows this, like Harsh Floyd, and talking about every possible finish that could occur. It was a double count out. Oh, it's gonna go into a Chicago street fight at All Out. It's gonna be a time limit draw. Maybe they'll do an Iron Man match. Every possible scenario outside interference. And they gave us the one scenario that nobody on God's green earth saw coming. And I actually was stepped away from my television. My television in my living room is kind of a little bit blocked by a wall in my kitchen. And I kept turning over as I was cutting something. I was making dinner as I was watching Dynamite. I was like, oh, this match is going to go like 45 minutes. We just said how this match is probably going to go an hour. And I kept looking, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, he just hit him twice with the Death Rider. And I see 3, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? Probably the last time I was that shocked was April 2014 when Brock Lesnar broke Undertaker's streak. When by far in my opinion, the biggest shock on cable television, wrestling cable television, and I have no idea how long.
Yeah, this is the most shocked I've been since Cody and Brody. I remember when Cody and Brody, I figured Cody might lose. But the way he was just dominated and just dispatched by Brody Lee was just amazing. And I was shocked. And I kind of felt the same way. I was like, well, that was the way to go. And I've been big. I talked about last week how, ratings have kind of been stagnant for a while in AEW, just those same people watching. And I am very much a proponent that I know more people than what's reported watches the show, because a lot of the people I know don't watch the show in a recordable way. Just put it that way. So I'm saying more people watch the show than what's reported, but it's been kind of stagnant, and I was like, maybe they're trying to do something shocking to wake up the audience, to get people talking to it. And man, let me tell you, this is all people have been talking about all week. I had a friend who messaged me. First thing he said, I don't watch AEW, but what they did was WCW, beginning of WCW level bad. Now, I'm not going to honor that with me even talking about it, because I thought it was such a ridiculous comment, even though I do love my friend a lot. I just thought I didn't agree with the comment at all. But this person that doesn't watch AEW was talking about what? AEW. My wife heard about it from someone at work. She lives with me, and she heard about it from someone at work. My friend lives in Tulsa, which is about an hour and a half away, drove here to be here in the room so we could all watch this match together. And like, this was going to be this amazing match. And Mox kind of just did what a person in that situation would do. This guy that's been fighting every week, hasn't been in fighting shape, is like in a vicious mode, versus a guy that unfortunately had been over the shelf for 2 months. There's gonna be ring rust. You know, I remember something I compared it to, and I know there was the injury part of it, but something I compared it to is after Ronda lost to Holly Holm, she went home and, you know, she went through her things and she trained and she came back like a year and a half later and she's going in there against Amanda Nunes, who's a monster, who's been killing people. And it's just like, you don't work off ring rust against monsters. Mox is a monster. That's not who you work off your ring rust against. You wrestle someone else and then you wrestle Mox. And, you know, unfortunately, CM Punk found that out the hard way. It broke my heart because, there's a few records that were set. Shortest title match in AEW history. Shortest title reign as AEW World Champion. Shortest AEW World Title match. And it was just like so many different things. And it happened to the savior, the Second City savior. It happened to CM Punk. And basically AEW's biggest draw. And in my case, that is the establishment of the fact. Like, the kayfabe is like, you know, you can't come into a match not ready when you're going against Mox. And if you're looking at the other side of it, you have to watch every episode of Dynamite. You do not know what's going to happen. Yes, we've done things where we're predictable, but we'll throw in a wrench every now and then. I love this idea. I hated that who it happened to, because I'm a big fan of CM Punk. But good Lord, the perfect person to do it. Mox Lesnar. That's what he is right now. He's Mox Lesnar. So yeah, that's how we open the show. That's how we open our show today. Now we're going to go through the rest of the Dynamite review. I'm going to hand it back to Austin, I think. And he's going to take us through. And we can skip past that. We don't have to bring that up anymore, Austin. So, here we go. I'm handing it over to you gently. Don't bite me.
Okay. Show opened with Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia facing off. And the Your Wrestler chants, I gotta say, were great. And this was a great... AEW doesn't open the show with promos a lot of times. And this was a really great way of opening it. Daniel Garcia was outstanding on the mic in this moment. And the way that he talked about how the moment was special and Jericho ruined it. And Jericho was trying to just really be that toxic person where he's like, literally opens with, "I'm sorry that you feel that way." Like the best possible response a heel can make to somebody who is like, yeah, you're my teammate, but also like, stop being such a bitch. And he talks about how screaming for him to say he's a sports entertainer, and regardless of the fact he wouldn't say it. And then he had Bryan Danielson come out and he was talking about how great he was, and these people think he's a wrestler. Jericho says, "No, you're a sports entertainer." Garcia's like, "Stop it." And he's like, "My mentor, my hero are making me make a decision in public." He's like, "I don't want to hear from anybody right now." He leaves. And then Bryan Danielson talks about like, "Hey man, that I don't like sports entertainment that much, but that was pretty entertaining." And then Chris Jericho proceeds to go out and challenge him to a match at All Out. Bryan Danielson versus Lionheart, the American Dragon versus Lionheart. And right before that, Jake Hager ambushed him, and that was the end of the segment. It's a great segment. Thought it was a great way to open the show. And I thought the character work was great. This was like some of the best character work that they did on Dynamite in a pretty good amount of time. Thought it was great. Yeah. JR, your thoughts?
One thing to say is, well, two things. One, I think it's important when you start the show, Dynamite, is to have names like Bryan Danielson and, as much as that pains me to say, Jericho, because you're gonna AEW, as we all know, is still young, 3 years as a company. So when you get people to turn over, and I don't think people realize, because I know Floyd and I talk about it, but like, the Big Bang Theory actually, they have a pretty good amount of viewers. So when you see names like Jericho and Danielson, that's more household names, it may keep people to continue watching what AEW is offering. So I will always encourage AEW for to continue putting this some of these stars to open the show to help with the ratings. Now I love Bryan Danielson's work in AEW. Everything he's done, I've loved it. I've grown to love his mic skills, his promo skills. Obviously we don't have to say anything about his ring work. It's impeccable. And I can't wait to see Bryan Danielson stretch the hell out of Jericho on Sunday.
Well, I really love this. Some people say, hey, I'm here to help make new stars. Some people execute it. And I have to say, with Chris Jericho and Bryan Danielson, they have done everything in the last month or so to make Daniel Garcia a star, and I think it's worked. This whole "you're a wrestler" chant at Daniel Garcia was just like this moment in the sun for him. And it's just like, that was really good. I've enjoyed all his matches with I've enjoyed all his matches with Bryan Danielson, so I'm glad that it's moving on. The fact that we get the Lion Heart, Chris Jericho, versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, makes me very happy. I'm very excited to see this match. I think it's going to be very violent, very physical. And, Chris Jericho keeps showing that he can, whenever he needs a match, whenever he can always show up. He can always get his match across. He can always get his point across the storyline he's going. I am interested to see where Daniel Garcia goes. Because I don't know if he's going to enter into the Blackpool Combat Club or if he's going to stay home with the JAS. But his future is bright no matter what, and I think he can thank the two veterans for that. And anytime you tell me I'm going to get Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson, like a match that I remember first seeing as an episode of Tough Enough, where Chris Jericho actually, I believe, beat Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan at the time, with the Lion Tamer. So it's like this is coming a long way from when they wrestled the first time. So I'm looking forward to this.
Speaking of things that Floyd is looking forward to, we got more info on what FTR was going to be doing after Dax Harwood went one-on-one with Jay Lethal in a very great singles match. Dax continuing to prove why he's so good, even outside of being a tag team wrestling specialist. He continues to shine in his singles matches. Despite that fact, however, Jay Lethal grabs Harwood's trunks and rolls him up and gets the pinfall, thanks to Sanjay Dutt distracting him when he had Lethal in the sharpshooter. And afterwards, Sanjay Dutt talked about how the match at All Out would be a trios match, but he never said who the other two wrestlers will be. Jay's partners will be the Motor City Machine Guns. Fucking finally, the Motor City Machine Guns are in AEW and doing stuff in AEW, because you want to talk about a team that has had a history with the Young Bucks, a team that's had history with like people related with AEW. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, yeah, those two have definitely had history with those guys and have history despite never wrestling FTR. And I think them finally coming to AEW is amazing. Trios match is a bit of a weird way to have him in, but regardless of the fact, I'm so happy that they are going to be at All Out. I'm so happy that they're having a match in AEW. I love the Motor City Machine Guns. Literally one of my favorite tag teams. I'm biased. I'm from Michigan, but they're outstanding. And this was a huge, huge moment. This was the thing that had me going and so excited for Dynamite before they ripped my fucking heart out. But I want to go to Floyd first on this because we know he was talking about how upset he was with our FTR. He has to. I mean, this man was vindicated here.
Let me tell you. So maybe this was the plan all along. I honestly think it was the plan all along, but it felt like they had listened to the podcast and how disappointed I was of the match we were getting. And they said, you know what, Floyd, hold on. We got you. TK look and say, hey, I got you. Don't worry about this. Motor City Machine Guns. Now, they were AEW before AEW existed. Their tag team style, how they work, the excitement, them and Generation Me back in the day. A lot of the foundation of what would become the AEW tag team division was those four people. So, these two men are like the most exciting tag team ever. Just they get over and get pops from just pointing at their hand. It's amazing. So I am really looking forward to this because this is, if you want to go like AEW versus Impact, I mean, Black Machismo and old Jay Lethal, you can't get more Impact than he was at a one point in time. And then probably, maybe, I don't know, America's Most Wanted, Beer Money, Motor City Machine Guns. You can argue those three teams as the most important tag teams in the history of TNA / Impact. But I'm going to go with Motor City Machine Guns. So FTR continues their year of facing legendary tag teams. I know this isn't a 6-man, but come on. Come on, does TK ever let us down? You know this is eventually going to be a tag match. Maybe it's on the next...
He let me down. He let me down, Floyd.
Maybe he's on the next ROH pay-per-view. Maybe it's at the end of the year. But what's it called? Is it Best in the World? What's it called at the end of the year? I don't know what ROH's last show of the year is called. It's in
Final
December.
Battle.
Final Battle. There you go. Maybe it's a Final Battle. Maybe it's on Bound for Glory. I don't know. But, Dax and Cash fight anywhere, anytime. They're scheduled to go to the UK in a little bit. But the fact that this is, you talking about a legendary talent, Jay Lethal legend, and then you got on one side the former Pinnacle, and they keep calling themselves the Pinnacle. And because they keep dropping that Pinnacle thing, I have some thoughts when we do the preview of All Out at the end of the show. But because of this, I just think this is going to lead to an amazing, like, even if nothing happens, even if there's no further storyline or anything, this is going to be an awesome 6-man match, which this show seems to be setting up a theme of awesome 6-man matches. JR, tell me what you think about it.
I'm going to preface this by saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is the opinion of JR and JR only. AT is not responsible for what I'm about to say. And so I say that because my opinion, I'm going to say this quickly, I think AEW for the last at least 3 pay-per-views have been putting on like weight. They're getting to like WrestleMania where like everybody has to be on the card. And I'm like, not everybody has to be on the show because I think it takes away what's special about pay-per-views, like must watch, entertainment. And sometimes when you get to those pay-per-views, in my opinion, I feel like it just drags where it's like, can we just get to the main event already? And we got to get Wardlow on this show. We got to get FTR on the show. And this to me is like you can't be mad that you're getting FTR and Motor City Machine Guns. So I'm not upset because this is going to be great, but I'd rather have just what Floyd said, like Motor City Machine Guns versus FTR. But I think really what's even the more injustice is what has happened with the TNT title. Since that TNT title has been was established, including the finals of Double or Nothing 2020 with Cody and Lance Archer, that title has been defended at pay-per-views a total of 3 times. That pay-per-view, Double or Nothing 2020, Full Gear 2020 with Cody and Darby Allin, and All Out 2021 with Miro and Eddie Kingston. That title, in my opinion, has been passed around like a hot potato and has not been put in meaningful storylines for a while, and very few since the inception of that title. And I think Wardlow has had that title when he got it after Double or Nothing 2022 and has not done a whole lot with it. And I think it's time that he gets some spotlight that's solely on him as a champion, as he should, because I don't feel excited what's going on with that title and with Wardlow. And that's all I got to say about it. But I am excited to see what FTR, Motor City Machine Guns, do when they get into the ring. And I'm just going to be honest. I like Jay Lethal. I've always been a fan of Jay Lethal, but him and Sanjay and Satnam in AEW as a group, they have Go Away He With Me. Like, I really just don't want to see them on my TV. I actually said, if I was in an arena, I would not want to be in the same arena with them, let alone watching them in the ring.
I want to say, I have to say this. At least FTR is on AEW pay-per-view, this is their first AEW pay-per-view of the year. That is hard to believe. With especially how hot they've been in. They've been on 2 ROH pay-per-views, which are under the AEW umbrella, but AEW has this, cachet of great pay-per-views, and they ain't got to be on the show except, celebrating with Punk at the end of Double or Nothing, which was like amazing celebration and an amazing moment. But the fact, I was kind of like, I'm not happy. I want a straight tag match, but I'm like, man, they beat me down. And I was like, it got me to, at least they're on the show. They are on the show. So I'm happy about that, and I'm going to just take that with me. My boys are on the show. Back to you, Mr. Austin.
I will pass it back just for one split second, because I want to say there was a little bit of controversy related to the AEW video game about how reportedly FTR was not part of the main starting roster. I believe the idea that they're pushing right now is that they're going to be DLC. Floyd, I just wanted to get your thoughts on any of that.
You know what? I purposely didn't post because I wanted my first comments to be on the show, but I also wanted to leave time to hear from FTR because people have a hair trigger on Twitter. They hear something and let me react really loud and really aggressive. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit back. I'm not going to get mad. I'm going to sit back. Because first of all, FTR, they said this today, but I knew this and I actually said, I don't think they care about being in a video game. Like, oh, why'd you take us out? We were in it and you took us out. Maybe we did something wrong or whatever. I could see that, but they don't really care about being in a video game. Dax is not, I think Cash plays, but I don't think Dax is much of a gamer. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm like, I shoulder shrug because the game has a creator wrestler character. I would do it that way. But of course I want FTR on in the game. So I waited, and then, we saw the statement like, we're not mad. Don't be mad for us. Blah, blah, blah. Professionals. That's how professionals handle bad news. I want to throw that out there. Because other people somewhere in this company have been less than professional. But FTR showed you how professionals handle not getting what they want, bad news, all that stuff. They did it the right way. And, now we're at this situation. Yes, I do want them on the release. But I can honestly say I was more concerned about Cody not being on the game. I really was. It was like Cody was one of the foundations of AEW. So I would have been more upset if I found out Cody wasn't in the game. And now I know Cody's in the game. So it's like, I'm good with that. And then if FTR's downloadable characters, that's even awesome. Please have their first intro on there. I know they love the Midnight Express theme. But that first theme, that was my shit. So hopefully they can have that first intro on there and the Boston Celtics gear that they had when they fought the Young Bucks, because that gear is fucking awesome.
Okay.
Austin,
Well,
can I add something real quick?
go ahead.
So if I'm gonna steal the line from Lance Storm, if I could be serious for a moment, I think I have this gimmick of where I'm like this cranky old man where I constantly like say fuck the Young Bucks, and because I'm very pro FTR, and I'm like, hey, yeah, Young Bucks are burying FTR, and I kind of embrace it probably a little bit too much. But the one thing I do know a little bit from talking with some people who are I would say like affiliated with the gaming industry. So I think the one thing is, as if you're in the game, that FTR, I think some people are concerned is like they may miss, like, let's just say like a bonus check, for their marketing, merchandise, licensing rights. But the one thing I do know, though, because I know a little bit about gaming, is how important DLC has become to the video game industry. And in a lot of ways, DLC makes up a significant amount of profits for video games, whether it's Madden Ultimate Team, or if you have, I think, I don't know if Call of Duty is still popular, but I remember they had like downloadable maps. And, whether you have your phone, like in-app purchases, that has become a significant source of revenue for the video game industry. And playing devil's advocate, one could think that, hey, if FTR is, as hot as they are, we're going to sell this game for $59.99 for like PS4 and Xbox One, and we'll sell, I think for PS5 is like $69.99, but we're going to charge maybe $4.99, $9.99 for the rights to download FTR as a playable in-game character. That's exactly what WWE 2K has done. Mortal Kombat has done that. I think when Mortal Kombat first came, I want to say it was Jason or Freddy Krueger. I think it was Freddy Krueger was like a downloadable for one of the Mortal Kombat games on PS4. I paid $10 to be able to use Freddy Krueger in Mortal Kombat. So yeah, it's there's a lot of money to be made for downloadable content. And if that's what they did end up telling FTR, like, hey, we're gonna end up releasing you as a DLC character, and we'll pay you a percentage for every time it's downloaded. They could be making a lot more money on that side than if they were just putting the game on the initial release.
All right, sounds good. We then move to unfortunate news backstage with the AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, being informed that she is injured and will not be able to defend the AEW Women's World Championship at All Out. So she's going to miss the show, and there's going to be an interim champion crowned. And she hopes that Toni Storm wins it, and she will be the interim champion. She hopes that will be the case. But she said she will be back. She will be coming back and come back stronger. And the match was announced. Toni Storm versus Dr. Britt Baker DMD versus Hikaru Shida versus Jamie Hayter in a fatal four-way to determine the interim women's champion. I will say, I love everybody that's in the match. I'm so glad Sheeta's back, because God knows we need women baby faces right now on the roster. But I have to say, because even though I do love this field that they have for this match, what did Ruby Soho do to you? Like, did she do something wrong? Did she hurt somebody? Why does she get nothing? She gets a little match on Rampage, a mixed tag match with Ortiz to face Sammy and Ty. That's what she gets. She doesn't get a match on the pay-per-view. She literally fought for the AEW Women's World Championship at Double or Nothing this year. Like, what did she do to you? I don't understand what has happened for them to not have Ruby Soho be one of those people that they're pushing. I understand they need to have the balance between baby faces and heels, and Jamie Hayter works with Dr. Britt Baker, which adds an interesting element in that regard. And having Sheeta back as like, hey, former champion, someone who could be a favorite to win the match. And Toni Storm makes all the sense in the world. Everybody in the match makes sense. But all I'm asking is, what did Ruby Soho do to you? I want to know. I would like to know why she just is nowhere near that picture again. I understand she lost, but I don't understand why AEW seemingly just isn't interested in pushing her like that. I don't get it. I really don't. Like, I don't think she's bad. I think she's good. I'm confused. Maybe someone here can answer that for me, because that's the one thing I took away from this. While, yes, I hope Thunder Rosa gets healthy again, and I hope she recovers as soon as possible. It's a fucking huge blow to the roster. This is a really bad one. And I hope she heals up exponentially quick. And you know what? Toni Storm, who will most likely, that's my prediction to win the match. You make a star out of Toni Storm if she wins the interim championship. Absolutely. Absolutely, you make a star out of her. But what did Ruby Soho do to you? Like Tony Khan, what did he do to you? What did she do to you? Did she slap you in the face? Did she call you out for your shitty booking for CM Punk losing the AEW World Championship? What did she do? What did she do to piss you off? JR, you can go ahead.
I agree. It seems that Ruby Soho made her debut this time last year in Chicago for All Out, and she had a quick rise, and the scene kind of flamed out. And sometimes it feels like with some talent that they're the flavor of the month, and then once they're they don't have anything for them, they put them back on the shelf until they can figure out what to do with them. And it's unfortunately when you have a roster of that size. The one thing I will say, and I will also like to say preface this because I think it's important to say it, is when Thunder Rosa gave her interview, if that's what she wanted to do, she was comfortable with that, because she's either the greatest actress in the history of television, or she was very shaken up because she looked extremely emotional. So if that's all she wanted to do was do that quick segment, then I mad respect to her. But I just gonna be honest, like, when do we get to the point where sometimes we get just some level of equality? Because we went through this. I don't want to bring up old wounds for you, Austin. We went through this exact same thing with CM Punk, and CM Punk did a 10-minute promo, and Thunder got 45 seconds backstage to do that. I'm not saying she, to do a 10-minute thing, but we couldn't do like a 4-minute segment, a 5-minute segment saying, hey, this is the situation. I think back when Becky Lynch broke her nose and they were going to pick, Charlotte to replace her to go against Ronda at Survivor Series 2018. Just something where it just seems a little bit more of an importance to the gravity of the situation. I even go back and look 2 years ago. I remember when Cody was the TNT champion and he was going to wrestle Jake Hager, and they had this whole backstage press conference set up, and then it came to All Out 2020. And we're doing this champion versus champion match between then champion AEW champion, women's champion Sheeta, and then NWA women's champion Thunder Rosa. And it was done backstage in a bathroom, in a pre-tape segment. And I was like, I'm not saying it had to be 10 minutes, but just something to where you can fully grasp the gravity of the situation and just kind of put more of importance on her being champion, her being out with injury, and then creating this interim situation. And to add, I'll kind of circle back. I think what they could have done is add Tay Mello and Ruby Soho, made it a 6-woman, situation. And because like I said, they want to get everybody on the card, so why not make it a 6-woman? And they could have basically brawled out to the crowd and not been part of the finish.
Well, to address JR first, I love Thunder Rosa. The shirts, all the stuff I buy from her. I love her, love meeting her, love talking to her. ball of energy. She's a terrible promo. So, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, it doesn't matter how much you gave her. It would have been terrible because she's a terrible promo. It is what it is. Like, I can handle the fact that she's an amazing wrestler, has amazing gear, amazing music, has an amazing energy, knows how to tell a story in a match. There's one thing she's not good at. And, yeah, you give the mic to CM Punk and let him do that for 10 minutes. Because CM Punk can think on his feet, he can address the crowd, he can control the audience for 10 minutes with his words. He is the cult of personality. Thunder can't do that. So just to give equal time or half time just to give it, I think that's waste for me. But it does suck that Thunder is injured. We've heard many rumors about backstage problems with her. All I can say is I hope that all is addressed before she comes back and we can just get, wrestling, because I prefer to worry about what's on the screen and what's on presented on Dark and Elevation and Rampage and Dynamite instead of hearing everything's going on in the dramas of the professional wrestling world. So heal up quickly, Thunder. Come back, get your defense. Hey, you might want to learn a lesson. You might want to take a warm-up match or two before trying to get your belt back. Just throwing that out there. But we are looking forward to Thunder Rosa coming back in full strength. And I am also looking forward to the title once again going back to the only legitimate star in AEW's women's division, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Okay.
Did you say you're a podcast for positivity and bury Thunder Rosa? I just wondered, like.
Okay.
Just saying.
So I buried Thunder Rosa by saying 6 positive things about her and then 1 negative thing.
Yeah. Yep.
That's me burying
just
her.
Saying.
Okay. Yeah. I'm really.
Focusing on the positives.
Yeah. That's why.
Negatives.
That's why I said the 6 positive things first. Before I said, no, one thing she happens to be bad at.
As my boss tells me, you gave her a shit sandwich.
Well, moving on, we had Billy Gunn go one-on-one with Colton Gunn after what happened last week where the Gunn Club turned on Billy. Stokely Hathaway watching the match from the front row. Who's Your Daddy chants were great. Loved it very, very much. Despite the fact the match was very short and Billy proceeded to get into this match, and then Stokely Hathaway took the Acclaim's boombox and attacked the Acclaim from behind. Colton Gunn hits the Colt 45, and Colton Gunn pins his dad. Stokely Hathaway is very happy about it, and then he hands Billy business cards to Colton Austin, officially getting them into Stokely Enterprises, as I'll call them, I guess. The tag team champions, Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, come out to even the odds. And they help up Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Even though afterwards, I will say I'll skip right ahead to that because they said Keith Lee offered them the challenge for the belts. Anthony Bowens and them was like, we don't need your charity. We've already proved in ourselves that we're going to take those champions because everybody loves the Acclaimed. I got to say, I dig this match. I dig this match announcement for All Out. I think it's pretty cool. And I think they should do a really good job. I think it's a big moment for the Acclaim to be able to get this spot. There's not really a ton to say about the match between Gunn and Gunn because it was pretty short and as is. But yeah, I mean, you guys can talk about the announcement of this match it all out, and then just the little bits and pieces of Stokely Hathaway getting involved, and just what your thoughts were. JR, go to you.
It was very interesting. I will say this about the match because I have never seen a father versus son match, and I think this may have actually been one of the official wrestler versus wrestler, father versus son match since a 6-man tag that occurred back in 1999 between Paraguayo and his son, the late Paraguayo Jr., that occurred in at Triple Mania in Mexico, where they were opposite sides of a tag team. So I just kind of thought that was kind of crazy to see that to actually win something like that, even if it was brief. I'll just say quickly on the match that we're getting all out. The Acclaim, by far the biggest homegrown act is in the tag team division in AEW, and so it's people love them. You hear it. I know I've seen them. Floyd's been to more fan fest than I have, but when I saw them at Full Gear in Minneapolis, and I think they were there at All Out in Chicago last year, and then I saw them in Vegas. I mean, you just saw those lines grow. People have been getting behind them. People been getting behind Max Caster and his raps. People love Bowens. And I think people, if they win, they're going to be, it'd be one of the biggest pops of the night for sure.
You know why they call him Swerve, right? Because he's swerving FTR. That's all I got to say. He's getting out that way because he don't want none of that. I just want to throw that out there. No, I'm really excited about this match. Love Max Caster. Love Anthony Broad. Love the Acclaim. Looking forward to the rap. But, one of me and Austin's favorite movie series is Rocky 3, right? Rocky 3, Rocky, they show Rocky's beating all these people. And, and then the manager Mickey's like, well, are you telling me you're fixing fights? It's like, no, they're good fighters, but they're not killers. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about the Acclaim. They're good fighters. They're not killers. They're not killers. So, yeah, they put them up. Keith Lee, Swerve. You get Rap. You get everybody into it. Keith Lee and Swerve get them a little win. But the killer is waiting. Killer's waiting. Club of the Lane is waiting. He's in the 6-man match that night. Don't worry about that. Club Lane coming. You're going to feel the pain. But I am looking forward to this tag team match. And Stokely, the group that he has together, he has 4 right now. Moriarty, Ethan Page, and you haven't really seen either one of those since they joined the group. And now you got the Gun Club. So I like to see where this is going with the Stokely Enterprises, and he also has Jade and the Baddies. So he has a nice little group. And I love this about Stokely because he's one of the best on the mic. He's so funny. He's got these amazing expressions. So this means he's going to be on throughout the Dynamite episodes, and I am looking forward to that because this man is hilarious. Best follow on Twitter if you happen to be listening and you don't follow him. It's either him or Nyla. It was either for me, it was clearly Stokely in WWE and clearly Nyla in AEW, and now they're both in the same company. I don't know who's funnier, and I don't think you have to, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Kylan King was next. Nice quick win for DMD. And with this being in Cleveland, of course, the Steeler herself had to start railing down Cleveland a bit and bring out the terrible towel as well. Because Browns, congrats on being the new Steelers in that regard of your quarterback. And she's like, oh, it's a shame about Thunder Rosa. But remember, when I was champion, I wrestled with a broken wrist because that's what a champion does. Tony Storm came out, and then Jamie Hayter proceeded to follow her and hit her in the back. And that's when Sheeta comes out, and she chases them off and teased All Out. Good little moment there. I don't have much else to say. This did what it was supposed to do for building up for the All Out match, which was very it was a thrown together match. It was a thrown together match for Dynamite because they had to build towards this match that they weren't expecting to have on All Out. So I think it did what it needed to do, and it was solid. JR, you got anything to add?
That I will just say this: when you look at these 4 women, I mean, I don't want to discredit Sheeta, but I think there's no way she wins this. I what you hear is that I guess for rumors was that Toni Storm was scheduled to win, but I feel like there's like this crescendo building under Jamie Hayter where like I don't see it. But it's like something you feel. It's very hard to explain. Where like you feel like people want her to win, and if she wins, like it's unexpected. But it's like when she finally like, I guess essentially they look at her turning on Britt Baker, like they want that, and I don't know what direction they're gonna go. I don't see how, either way they could go wrong. But it's definitely going to be an interesting match on Sunday with these four women, and what even if the outcome is the same, and if Toni Storm does win, and you can still get to Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, just what could occur in that match is going to be extremely interesting.
All I want to say is Britt Baker wins. I just want to throw that out there. But I really did enjoy this segment. You know what? I can honestly say I would not have a problem with Sheeta being the first two-time women's AEW champion because she didn't get a crowd for most of her run. You know what I mean? She was the champion during the pandemic. She carried the title well. She carried it with respect. She brought some prestige to the belt. But she never, got a lot of crowds. Like, her first real big crowd was the match where she lost the title at Double or Nothing. So, let's go. I wouldn't mind Sheeta having it. Of course, I am rooting for Britt Baker because I just think she's the biggest star in the company. But, yeah, Sheeta.
All right. Well, then after those things, we had, of course, what we already talked about, which was the worst thing that ever happened to history of AEW and television altogether. We'll skip right past that. Christian Cage comes out.
I just would like to say, I will say this, at least Cincinnati finally got a champion. As a LA Rams fan, at least Cincinnati finally got their champion.
That's, he was champion before this. I'm just throwing that out there, just saying. So they've already had it.
Damn it, Floyd! Don't take away my joke.
It was just a terrible
Louise.
joke. It was just a terrible joke. All right, continue, Austin.
Thank you. Christian Cage came out and talked about how he extended an olive branch to Jungle Boy, and he challenges him to a match at All Out. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "You can't do that at All Out. You're going to find out that I'm an anomaly. I'm special. Jungle Boy, I accept your challenge." So we get Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. I think it's a great match. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a great story that they tell as well. And I think we'll get into more talks about that and the rest of All Out as well.
Okay.
Once we get to the predictions and stuff like that, from what we have at least. Ricky Starks was next, and he cut a great promo. Ricky Starks is one of the best promos they have in AEW, especially babyface promos right now.
Yeah, a quick question based on this. I've seen this thing. If you have to build a company around somebody for the next 10 years, would it be Garcia or Ricky Starks? I don't know why you picked these two people. They're not really the same age or contemporaries.
Right.
But that's the one. So I'll ask you, Austin, really quickly. I know, which one would you pick?
I think that's a weird pairing that people would put out, like that you would choose between those two. I think they're two very different talents and different in what they offer. But I say, like, in terms of young guys that you build a company around, I think Ricky Starks is the guy you build a company around. Like, if you give this man, I swear, like a year or two, like, he has got charisma oozing out of him. He's a great wrestler. He's just got a great presentation about him. Like, I'm so happy Ricky Starks bounced back from when he was injured and kind of having trouble finding footing in Team Taz, and when the pandemic hit, and just when he dealt with an injury, and he had a lot of trouble finding his footing. But since then, he has just exploded in terms of being like one of the guys that I think is a huge, obviously, if we're treating AEW like a fantasy league, he wasn't a guy that you drafted, but he's a guy that exploded on the waivers, and you want to get him more than anybody else, if that makes any sense. But Ricky Starks, I think, would be that guy. And again, this promo that he had on Dynamite absolutely showed that as well, as he challenged Will Hobbs to a match at Powerhouse Hobbs to a match at All Out.
He has this energy, which I agree with you. He has this energy when he's on the mic that feels over the top. It feels like, to me, Attitude Era-ish, as in how he controls the crowd and how he exudes a confidence on the mic. So, I've heard people compare him to The Rock, but I think he has a different energy than The Rock. I mean, I just think it's like a passion. It's something, a fire that comes through. And it's just, that's why I would take him over Daniel Garcia right now, because I think Ricky Starks can talk you into a building. I think Daniel Garcia probably, for me, it's based on the type of wrestling I like, would be the better 20 years. But over the next 10, I think Ricky's about to come into, he's already in his own, but about to be featured in AEW. So I think over the next 2 years, it's going to be something to watch. JR?
I think I'll say this. I think the reason why people are put this pairing together is because in my opinion, I think they perceive them these are the first kind of sorry, I'm stammering. They're featuring these two young guys around the same time. And it's Daniel is about 224 and Ricky Starks is 32. And just put this in perspective, Ricky Starks currently is older than when Triple H and The Rock won the WWE World Championship back in 1998, 1999. So, I think you said it right, Floyd, is that Ricky Starks should be in a position to actually be a featured act, because I don't know where he would be in 4 or 5 years, whereas Daniel Garcia has a lot more years left in the tank. So I just don't think people I think you and I had this conversation how wrestling age is very weird, how people perceive it compared to any other sport. But I think that's the reason why, is because I think these are two young guns that are being featured at the same time, where it's Ricky Starks is he's almost a decade older than Daniel Garcia.
All right.
Okay. And Moxley talked afterwards. Honestly, the only thing that was good about it was that great meme line that has become the new Twitter video that goes around, which is "Oh, I'm sorry, was that not how that was supposed to go?" After that, I didn't listen. Quite honestly, if I'm being straight up forward with you guys, I didn't watch the rest of the show after Punk lost. I turned it off. So the main event match, the trio semifinal match for the AEW Trios title match between Death Triangle and United Empire, I did not watch it. I still haven't gone back and watched it. The only thing that I have watched was what happened when the show went off the air with Kenny Omega going after Will Ospreay. That was the only thing I saw, and that's because it was on Twitter. So I did not see this match, and I have not gone back to watch this show. So, Floyd, if you want to break down this match, you can. I'm sure it was great. Sure it was wonderful. Didn't watch it because this show ran me off by this point.
Okay, so I could talk about the direct match, or I can tell you something that has never happened in my life that happened because of this match. Now, I often bring up my best friend, Jason. I often bring him up on this show. He's very much a casual wrestling fan. He watches, when it's home and happens to be home and it's on, and he watches, right? So we have been friends since I was 12. I am 41 years old. And I've never heard this man mention a star rating, ever. And I don't mean that, and it's maybe I forgot. No. I've never heard this man mention a star rating. This match ended. He calls me about 30 seconds after this match ended and said, "I don't know what a 5-star match is. I've never rated stars or anything." He said that first. But if that was a 5-star match, that was a good match. I like that match. To me, and I will let JR elaborate on his feelings, that is literally all you had to say about that match. That match was a viewer creator. JR?
I will say two things. While I'm not as passionate as Floyd is, I thought it was a very fun match. Not every style is for every wrestling fan. I think that's one of the good things about AEW is that it's a smorgasbord. There's something for everybody to enjoy. There are things that Will Ospreay and Ray Phoenix does that they each do respectively that I enjoy. There's some things that they do that I don't enjoy. There was a lot of spots and sequences in this match that I enjoyed. There were some that I was like, yeah, that's cool, but that's not for me. But I definitely respect the talent in the ring. The one thing I will say, it has nothing to do with the match itself. It actually was after. Is I have no idea what the ending of Dynamite, what they were doing. There was a lot of chaos, and none of it really made sense. They had too much going on at once. I will respectfully say I don't produce television, but sometimes less is more. And I think they should have focused on Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega because that's the storyline that everybody cares about right now. And whatever was going on between Andrade, Rush, and Dragon Lee probably should have been like an AEW YouTube exclusive because that was a distraction. Because it was so like convoluted, that ending.
Okay.
I honestly didn't even pay attention to the ending. It was like I saw that they kind of jumped him, and I just took it as that. They beat him up for quote-unquote losing, and they kind of drove it home on another episode of a show, but yeah.
Okay. Well, that was AEW Dynamite, the worst AEW Dynamite I've ever seen in my entire life. We will move on to Rampage, which is already the worst Rampage I've ever seen in my entire life because they wanted to show CM Punk in pain, like, as a selling point of the show. Fucking thank you, I guess. And it opened with another trio semifinal match between the House of Black and Dark Order. And yeah, I saw that Best Friends were watching in the front row as well with Danhausen as well. The match ended up having Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and 10 as the three Dark Order members that were competing. And they faced off against Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi Black. 10's knee brace was a big part of the match too, as they were really focusing on that. And they were going on in this match and just tearing house throughout this match. Basically, after the match was going on, however, 10 was in a knee bar. Malachi Black gets distracted because Miro's music hits. Alex Reynolds rolls up Malachi Black, and the Dark Order get the upset win over the House of Black in this trios tournament match, which shocked the hell out of me. It stunned me, I will say, because I thought House of Black was one of the sure-ins to be like going far in this match, in this tourney, but guess I was wrong. Miro with the distraction, and House of Black come after Miro and start to beat the shit out of him. But then Darby Allin and Sting come out, and then they force those three to retreat. So I like the fact that Miro is consistently trying to make the House of Black's life a living hell after what they did to him and how they tried to coerce him. I think that's great. Big win for the Dark Order for the fact that they're now going to be in the final. They're now moving on into the Rampage finals of the Trios tournament. I think that's a huge deal for them. And yeah, match I thought was a pretty cool way to open up the show. And I like the fact that they got some bigger names on there like Miro to show up on Rampage.
Yeah, really good match. I like as soon as 10 came out, and okay. Again, just a quick shout out when you do the thing where it's like you have the Dark Order and you have a mystery spot there. People think it's actually going to be a mystery or a big person. I'm just saying, don't do that. It's a critique. It's just like, so just put 10 on the graphic. Let 10 come out, right? 10 came out. Evil Uno said he was going to be in Germany anyway. So it's 10. Then there's no disappointment. They put on the match. 10's got a knee brace on. And as soon as I saw the knee brace, I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to talk about it later as we get into our All Out preview, but I was like, dude, like it was like there. I've seen it online, but I saw it immediately. I think I said it to JR like while we were on the phone, but he was barely watching the show. But yeah, really good match. It was a good match. It was a good TV match. It was like critique for Rampage, right? Give this match almost as much time as you gave the other match, and Rampage, instead of putting 4 matches on the show, do 3 and let them each just be bangers and just let them be amazing and let them have time to work. Like, I watched Rampage. I have never missed a Rampage, not one. But this one felt like you tried to get too much in, so nothing really felt special. JR?
Yeah, the one thing about Rampage is I believe this one was taped, right?
This was taped.
Okay. So I know like there's a few, I think the only one they do like the Battle of the Belts is like where Rampage is live. And it's always kind of tough with tape because since it's tape, you don't know how much of it's edited or not edited. And when it's edited, the flow of the match could feel different than how the flow of the match was. The one thing I say, and I say this all the time, and some people think it's just like, oh, you just like him as a person. But I fucking love Alex Reynolds and John Silver as a tag team because they have this sequence of spots. And I first noticed it years ago when they took on Cody and Matt Cardona had his brief AEW run. And it's just it's a series of strikes, and I believe Alex Reynolds. I'm trying to remember if it's a inverted atomic drop into a belly to back suplex, but I just think it's badass when they do it, and I think John Silver is a fucking beast, and I want to see them. I want to see them win the Trios Championship because I just think they're cool. I think people would. Really would love them and embrace them. So I think they're badass. I can't help it. And the one thing is, going to the end when Miro came out, there was a sequence where Buddy Murphy was going after him, and I swear Miro picked him up and threw him in the air, and it looked like he flew like 20 feet in the air. I was on the phone with Floyd, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" And Floyd thought, I don't know if it was like he playing my game or something, but I was like, dude, Buddy Murphy was flying in the air on that entrance stage. It looked like a nasty bump.
Yeah, it was a big bump. Yeah.
All right, well, moving on. FTW champion Hook was backstage and asked about Angelo Parker and Matt Menard. Said he didn't care about them. And then that's when those two walked on and threatened to take the title away from Hook. Cute. I mean, that's the backstage segment to get Hook on Rampage, since that's where they're kind of showing him mostly right now. We had a TNT Championship match between Wardlow and Ryan Nemeth. How do you think that went? Wardlow was insulted, and then he just proceeded to just beat the shit out of him as Chris Sabin, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh were watching. It was a squash match. That was what it was.
2 boys from Cleveland, baby. Got the crowd into it.
Oh, cool.
Go.
All right. Hey, got anything to add to this? Because I don't got nothing.
I added my part. That was it.
Okay. Jerry, you got something to say or no?
I'm good.
Cool. Andrade Family Office was interviewed. They were asked about private. Andrade told Private Party to be careful about losing, as everything has consequences. And he said, "Just ask Dragon Lee," which was a nice little thing, I guess. We then had Powerhouse Hobbs facing Ashton Day to give him a little bit of work to build to his match with Ricky Starks. Beat the shit out of him. Another squash match. And then backstage, the Factory jumped Ricky Starks. QT Marshall then proceeded to take his watch and just wrap it around his knuckles and knock out Ricky Starks with that. So even though Powerhouse Hobbs wants nothing to do with the Factory, they're still going after Ricky Starks, like on his behalf, I guess, to try to get him to reconsider. Maybe, I guess that was what I took away from it, at least. So we got 2 squash matches in a row and then some backstage segments before we got into another backstage segment and then the mixed tag match before the ROH title match. So we'll get to all those too, but go to JR first if he wants to talk about the segment with Hobbs and how the Factory were beating up on Ricky Starks. What are your thoughts?
Why is the Factory involved? That's my question. I'd rather they just focus on Hobbs and Starks. Like, I guess more people need to be on television, but I just don't understand. Hobbs and Starks are stars and deserve a spotlight on them.
Are you still talking, or did you just stop?
I just stopped because that's all I had to say. Because there's nothing.
I literally have nothing to add to this. I kind of felt like that for a lot of Rampage, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's that, and then we go to Jade Cargill with the baddies and challenging Athena to a match at All Out, and then she charged at them and needed to be separated. So we get Jade versus Athena, which again, for the love of God, I'm begging you, have Athena win this match. And then we move to
get those hands.
You need babyface women's champions on this roster. I'm like begging you. You can't have another Ruby Soho on your hand. I'm telling you. I love Jade, but Jade can be fine without the championship for a little bit, and with 1 loss on her record, she can be fine.
All I know is, according to Jade, that Athena's going to get these hands.
Yeah. Which, hey, that person who's getting their hands, he might be being pursued by WWE. Huh. Interesting. They're bringing back all the control your narrative people.
They're just gonna have a faction in WWE called Control Your Narrative. Let's just cut to
Make it happen, please. I think that would be the greatest thing. All right, we'll go to the mixed tag match between Ortiz and Ruby Soho versus Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello. Nobody honestly cared about this match because the thing that everyone was talking about was the fact about Sammy Guevara calling out Eddie Kingston in this match, and that's when Eddie Kingston was. There was a lot of backstage stuff with this. Eddie Kingston was called fat by Sammy Guevara in a heel promo, and that's when he jumped on the screen and basically threatened to knock the shit out of him. And apparently, there was not a communication about how that Eddie didn't want anything about his weight to be said, and he swung on him, and there was a lot of backstage drama surrounding that, and that's honestly all people could talk about as opposed to this match, which, I mean, was a match. I mean, I think Ruby Soho is great. I think Ortiz is great. Sammy and Mello are a great heel couple, but nobody could talk about that. All people could talk about was about the Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara drama. So I'll let these guys speak on that if they'd like, and then I can give my thoughts. Who wants to take this first?
I will take it first. I know people don't like Sammy for whatever reason. His life, his face, I don't know. There's been a lot of reasons people don't like Sammy. All right. So people don't like Sammy. So this thing happened to Sammy. He deserved to get it or whatever. I don't know. The way it was explained, and it seemed fairly explained the same from both of them. Eddie Kingston didn't like his promo. They didn't talk before the promo, so he didn't like his promo. And he got mad, and then Sammy, of course, has this he has a face. He has a face that I've said it. He has a face that you can punch. And I guess that made Eddie like pie face him or whatever. I don't know. I've heard different degrees of the story. Heard a punch in the face, pie face, or whatever. I'm guessing it was just a pie face. And Eddie Kingston got secretly suspended. I'm one of the weird people. Good call. It was a great call. It's wrestling. You're adults. You're grown men. Use your words. Have a sit down. Have a beer, tea, whatever you drink. Calmly discuss your problems. Air your grievances. Someone apologizes or doesn't apologize, and you move on. It's just, yeah, you're grown-ass men in the workplace. I know wrestling is the Wild West, but, it's 2022. You gotta change with the times. Be professional. Sit down, chat, discuss your problems, move on. Be men about it. That's how I think. JR?
Man, this was a lot. Like, I'm trying to see if I can gather my words and say this as effectively and efficiently as possible. You never want to cancel a match because of this going on, like, because this was just ridiculous. Like, all this, behind the scenes stuff. But at the same time, like, I think it really did a disservice though, because one thing I will say to what you had said, Austin, like, I saw Ruby promo and I was like, I don't care what anybody says about Ruby, whether you like her, you don't like her. I feel like everything she does is believable. Like, you believe the emotion that she shows, and it just kind of, it was just very unfortunate, I think, for Ortiz and Ruby to be in that position where it's like, they hadn't been on TV in a while, and this was, they're getting prime time or good time on television, and it's just kind of, they weren't getting the respect that they earned. As far as the behind the scenes stuff, I'm not a wrestling promoter, I'm not a booker, but what I am is I do work with humans, and I am a manager, and I do know the importance of communication, and it's extremely important to communicate, especially if there is miscommunication, if people don't get along, but you have to work with each other. Communication is key. It's important to respect one another, and I think Floyd is right where he says it is the Wild West, but at the same time, it is a place of business, and the people in charge cannot allow that stuff to occur, because just like any other place of business, just like whether it's the NFL or Major League Baseball, there's punishment for that type of stuff. It's called conduct detrimental to the team, and it's punishable by I think in the NFL, and you would know more about this, Austin, than me, but I think it's punishable up to 4 games. So it's 4 games of suspension. So hopefully that the people in charge, talent relations, that they hopefully aired out the differences and fixed those problems. I will say, based on what I've heard, that Eddie Kingston posted and what Sammy Guevara side is that each person believes they're right, and that's never good to try to solve an issue. Is when people need to be bygones, and it doesn't look like it did based on what we heard. What one of the matches are for All Out, it's like they're going in a different direction than they originally intended to. So let's see what happens. And as the UFC president Dynamite say, let's see how this thing plays out.
Yeah, there you go. And there was footage of Punk afterwards being tended to by medical, basically saying how his leg gave out during the match, and how him giving an explanation at least as to like what the injury was, like to doctors and stuff like that. Great, thank you for making your big money draw look like a fucking buffoon again. And main event of Rampage was the ROH World Championship match between Claudio Castagnoli and natural Dustin Rhodes. Love that Dustin was able to get this little match. I think Claudio and Dustin did a great job. This was just a really cool match for Rampage. A nice little nod of just how good these two guys are, continuing to give Dustin some really cool things as he gets closer and closer to, I feel like, the twilight of his career being over. They did good. They did a really good job. Claudio gets the win. I love Claudio as Ring of Honor champion, and I thought this was a great way to close out Dynamite. In a Dynamite that, honestly, besides the opening in the beginning, there was a ton of filler on this thing, and but the opening and closer, pretty good, and especially the closer, I will say.
Yeah, really good wrestling match. I mean, just two professional wrestlers. I've heard someone say, and I honestly kind of agree with this, like, Dustin can work. Claudio can work. But we've seen them wrestle like 120 billion times in the WWE. So how about them work, other people. I was like, you know what? That's fair. I'm not saying the person is right, but I can understand what they're saying. I thought this was a really fun match. Dustin can go. You do have to work to Dustin, but he can still go. And I just thought this match was exciting. My biggest problem with this match is you never thought Dustin was winning. That's my biggest problem. And that's my biggest problem with a lot of, wrestling. I'm consistent in this. I just want you to put up opponents that I'll be like, you know what? I could see them being the champion, or I could see them winning. Never thought Dustin had a chance in this match. And it's the main event of Rampage. So if you're a person that, let's say, is casual, happen to be watching it, and you're like, I already know who's winning this match, and you turn it off and go do something else. That's it. JR?
I second that. I mean, they are, a professional's professional. Dustin Rhodes been in the business since I think '89, and to this day, at 53 years of age, can still go with the best of them. And Cesaro, pound for pound, one of the strongest guys in the history of professional wrestling, and they did it. But when you get certain matches, you know what the outcome is going to be before it comes on, and sometimes that, I think, for fans, it takes them out of the match and doesn't allow them to, I guess, pay the respects that these two, basically, Dustin's a legend, and I mean, Cesaro, when it's all said and done, will be a legend if he's not already. So that's just the unfortunate thing. And it's setting up for something for Cesaro later down the road. But it's good that they, that to me, this was more of a respect thing for Dustin, and giving him the respect that he has earned for his career, to give him a match like this on television.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And that was AEW Rampage. And then the final thing we're going to talk about is, real quick, we'll go through a preview for what we have for Dynamite in Chicago for the week before, or the week of All Out week. Bryan Danielson versus Jake Hager. We're going to have Dr. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida and Tony Storm. We'll hear from the new AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. And we're going to have the Elite and the United Empire and the Dynamite Trios final match for the AEW Trios Championship tournament. And that's what's been announced for that.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to the Trios match. I think it might top the Trios match like last week. I mean, I know Kenny Omega's kind of working this injury thing, but, I still think Will Ospreay and all of them can let loose and get another 5-star match. But that's the thing I'm most looking forward to. Once they announced that match, I had made the decision not to go until Thursday instead of Wednesday. I'm actually pissed about that decision now, because I would love to be in the building for that match. Again, no, I can't go to everything, but come on. It is Will Ospreay, who right now, August 31st, 2022, with Kenny Omega not working to his full potential right now, probably the best wrestler in the world. As far as what I mean by that, for me, anytime he's in the ring, no matter who's across, what type of match it is, it's probably going to be my favorite match of the night. And if I can say that, I have to say you're probably the best wrestler in the world, because Orange Cassidy, the 6-man, I've seen him against Okada, and I've seen him against, there was a dude in the UK where I saw highlights of the match. I didn't watch the whole match, but anytime Will Ospreay's in the match, no matter who he's wrestling, the competition, what skill level, it's probably going to be the match of the night. So what else can you say other than he's probably the best wrestler in the world?
I don't got anything. Say, JR.
Two things. One is, this has to, sometime down the line, this has to set up a match in AEW between Omega and Ospreay. These guys have been wolfing at each other, I think, for 3 years now. This can't be the only time that they touch. There has to be a singles match somewhere down the line. I just got to throw that out there. Like, you know, I always see this, like, I always talk about money left on the table. Like, there is money that would be left on the table if these two guys did not have a one-on-one match somewhere down the line in AEW. The second thing I will say is, I know we're going to hear from the AEW champion, Jon Moxley, but, like, what the is going to happen with this championship and All Out? And because as of right now, as we're, you know, technically recording, which I believe it's August 31st Central Time already, and All Out is in like 5 days, we still do not know what's the status of the heavyweight championship in that pay-per-view.
Dude,
Yeah.
It's just, honestly, it's so funny because people say that because there's nothing officially announced. But in my mind, Mox versus Punk is happening Sunday. I'm like, when we do the preview, I was going to say Mox versus Punk is happening Sunday because it is.
Like, if we're being, like, come on, like, it's like kayfabe, man. We're like being kayfabe about this and be like, we don't know what's going on. If you completely shit on me just being like, oh man, like, of course, like, yeah, I know it's everybody assumes it's Mox versus Punk. Yeah, I agree with you, but like, come on, man.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I really wasn't trying to. You know, I have no problem giving you shit. This was one time I really wasn't trying to give you shit. All I was saying is that even, you know, kayfabe, not kayfabe, that's in my mind. That has been like the match. It's like if you don't get that match, you have failed me as a fan. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. I didn't mean to crap on you because that's what I was going for.
Also.
That's what the one I was trying to go for. In that situation, you know, I enjoy crapping on you. Don't get me wrong. But not this time. I wasn't actually trying to this time. Yeah. We need this main event. We need this match. If it's not that match, it's booking malpractice. No, I'm just kidding. Because honestly, storyline wise, I know we're gonna rush back to CM Punk versus Mox at the show, but storyline wise, he just had a match, a week ago where he literally couldn't throw a kick because he couldn't support his weight. So you're saying in a week and a half, that foot has healed so much that he's actually going to have a wrestling match with Moxley?
Yes.
Yeah,
because there's not a wrestler like CM Punk. There is a reason why in the final years of his WWE run, he had a Wolverine-like fucking facial hairstyle. Because this man can fucking regenerate, he can re-heal, he can come back, and he can fucking beat the shit out of anybody you put in front of him.
Okay. You know what? Let's go with that. I'm looking forward to the match. I have had this opinion that, and I don't think this is actually possible, but it's I have it in my mind that Mr. CM Punk is turning heel on Sunday. That is my prediction. And where CM Punk goes, there's another three letters that follow. So I'm hoping those 3 letters follow old CM Punk over to the dark side. It might not happen. CM Punk might just, be victorious in Chicago. But good Lord. I mean, I love CM Punk. I love a lot of different versions of CM Punk. But heel asshole CM Punk, oh my God, it's God level. So, if we get a little bit of that, I'm down for it.
JR, do you got anything to say before I go?
In my opinion, I think what's a possibility is that they may do, it's wrestling, so who fucking knows? But like, an unsanctioned title match where we are not liable if CM Punk, you got to sign this that basically waives AEW from all liability if you want your rematch at All Out. And I've heard that rhetoric about he'll CM Punk, and there's a very similar situation that occurred at April 1st, 2001 at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, WrestleMania 17. So if it's that way, like, it would be by far, I think, it would be the biggest heel turn since April 1st, 2001, and it won't even be close.
Okay, then I will say this. This is how you fix everything. You turn CM Punk heel. That's how you fix everything. You fix this whole mess that you've made yourself, Tony Khan. You fix this by turning CM Punk heel. People were already making the heel turn jokes because that's what caused the fucking re-injury. He overturned on his foot when he made contact with the head kick, and that's what the plant foot was the one that was hurt. So he turned heel, he turned his heel, and he got hurt again. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
Punk needs to be heel.
Yeah. And I think another good thing that they could add to the CM Punk lore, he should refuse to work in Cleveland from now on.
Yes.
Don't even show up.
Don't even go to Cleveland.
Yeah, they have a Cleveland show. He just doesn't show. And they were like, why? It's like, well, he left WWE in Cleveland. Mickey Gall happened in Cleveland. And now Jon Moxley happened in Cleveland. Don't go to Cleveland anymore. Cleveland is on his shit list. And like,
absolutely.
And as a heel, like, you could build up to a big match where he's forced to wrestle in Cleveland. Like, he refuses to go to the city. That would be hilarious and amazing. And honestly, AEW, because they've been really good about sticking to their storylines. But good Lord, yeah, Cleveland is on the shit list. Like, dude, he should get like a Cleveland tattoo with an X through it. Like, he doesn't go to there anymore. Like, no, I just honestly, when someone told me that, about the Cleveland thing, I was like, motherfucker, they think of everything. And that's truly, it was just like, as I was truly Mark level 10 right then, because I was like, really? Is that why they did it in Cleveland? I was like, what? Who thinks of that? And this is like, wrestling's so easy. And it's just like, it's the details, man. And man, I'll tell anybody that thinks AEW is quote unquote in the mud. Come on. Be serious, dude. It's the best wrestling. It's the best wrestling on TV. It's still not close. I mean, other places getting better. I have no problem saying that. But AEW is the best wrestling on TV. And it's not even close.
And I will say, AEW will go back to being the best wrestling company in the world if they do right by CM Punk. That's how you do right. Otherwise, at this point in time, you're not getting me to say much else. Like in terms of like being the proclivity for positivity. Like I said, people thought I was fucking hard last week. If they thought I was hard last week, I'm sure you're enjoying this episode, or at least my fucking misery. We'll go now real quick to the matches that have been announced for All Out this Sunday. Of course, the tag match for the tag titles, Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed, Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. Those, and then I'll go through all the ones that we have. Pretty much every match was confirmed for everything except for who will be in the finals for the trios tag team title tournament.
And they haven't told who's going to be in this mysterious ladder match.
Yeah, that is still said to be happening, the casino ladder match, which, I mean, I guess we'll find out who will be in that match hopefully tonight, maybe on Rampage. We're going to have to find out who's in that match, because that's what's we've heard that the casino ladder match is still happening. So I guess do you want to do predictions right now, since we're not going to be able to have a show up until All Out's over?
Yeah, we get. I mean, and when we get to the 6-man, predict who you think is going to be in the finals and who's going to win it. So,
yeah.
All right. So
Jungle Boy, Christian Cage. This is a Christian Cage win all the way. I feel like. I feel like they're going to continue this.
And I think Luchasaurus comes back and actually turns on Jungle Boy now.
Legitimately, yeah, because they've still been like showing like little signs of how Luchasaurus, while he is back with Jungle Boy, he's still not the same Luchasaurus that we all knew and loved. So I say Christian Cage gets the big heel win, continues to establish himself as one of the top male heels in the company. JR, what are your predictions?
I fully support that.
Okay, we then have Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs. I feel like they're going to give this to Ricky, honestly. I get that like this would be a feud that you could continue, but I think they're going to try to get Ricky like going like for TNT title picture pretty quickly. I think they're going to try to move this a little bit quicker than you would think. So I think Ricky wins this.
I think to me, with interference from the factory, I think you go with Hobbs because the story is Ricky overcoming this big obstacle in front of him.
Okay.
JR?
I support Floyd.
Okay.
All right. There you go. Well, we then have Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho. I feel like this happens with Chris Jericho losing thanks to he wants Daniel Garcia to help out in the match, and then he refuses, and Bryan Danielson comes to and gets the win, and then Daniel Garcia joins the BCC. That's my pick. So I got Bryan Danielson winning.
I got Bryan Danielson winning too. I agree.
JR?
I didn't get a chance to say this earlier. This storyline is either going to make Daniel Garcia either one of the biggest baby faces in AEW or one of the biggest heels in AEW. And I believe he will become one of the biggest baby faces in AEW when he joins the Blackpool Combat Club after Bryan Danielson submits Jericho.
All right. We then had the Pinnacle, Wardlow and FTR versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. While I will say I love FTR, I would love it if MCMG or Motor City Machine Guns, I would love it if their first match on AEW, they win. It's going to go to the Pinnacle, and it's going to be pretty simple in that regard. Though I do hope that Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley get more work in AEW still. I would love it if they stuck around a little bit. Whether it be in Ring of Honor or AEW, doesn't really matter to me because I love the Motor City Machine Guns.
All right. I'm going to shock the world. I'm going with Motor City Machine Guns and Jay Lethal.
Okay.
I'm going with either Chris Sabin or Alex Shelley pinning Cash or Dax because that's the best story because that leads to them having a title shot at either them going to Impact or them going to the next ROH show. That's the story that's best is FTR losing. But if FTR and Wardlow win and FTR continues their undefeated on pay-per-view streak this year, I would not be disheartened by that. But if you want to talk about what makes sense, you and MCMG, they win the match, they challenge FTR, you do it in New York. You do it at the big show in New York. Motor City Machine Guns versus FTR dream match at Grand Slam. Let's go.
That'd be nuts. JR, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna go with FTR and Wardlow because for two reasons. One, I think Wardlow is going to hit the Powerbomb Symphony 8 times on Jay Lethal, but because FTR are manly men, they are the ones that are going to call out Motor City Machine Guns, and they'll have a match somewhere down the line, a regular tag team match at a venue near you coming soon.
Yeah, the Grand Slam thing just hit me. I mean, Grand Slam's going to have 20,000 people in the building. Come on, Tony. TK. Break. We're on the same wavelength. MG versus FTR, all the initials. Let's get some fighting going.
I don't know if you have the same wavelength because you can actually book.
Ooh. All right, Jade Cargill versus Athena for the TBS Championship. It has to be Athena. I have said this over and over again. It has to be Athena. I've got nothing else to say. I've said everything I can say. It has to be Athena. Who wants to take it?
Oh no, no. I think Jade. I don't think they've heated up Athena enough to win. I think she should fail her first time and build to the next time she wins.
See, I said that too about Ruby Soho the first time, and then they never built to the second time. So I'm saying right now, because at this point, in terms of the women's roster, that's where I don't trust Tony Khan fully. You got to do it with Athena if you're not going to do a second time, which is what I'm currently thinking you're going to do. So make it Athena. I don't care how the build hasn't been as big as I would have liked it to be, and given Athena enough time, it has to be Athena.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I think in their minds that they put a lot of build from the time Athena debuted. I don't think there has. I think sometimes that's part of the problem when people are not on television weekly, or you don't have weekly, segments with these two. I love Jade. I think Floyd says this better than I do. Like, if aliens came and they asked for like your greatest specimen, who would you give them? And be like Jade Cargill, because there's nobody that's I believe nobody more impressive in AEW. Just the look, the strength, the athleticism than Jade Cargill. But at the same time, I just feel like you got to get off the undefeated. Like, it's time to move on. And it's once they lose, and then you can go in another direction.
Yeah, I think now I just thought about the way to do it. She's been having problems with Layla Gray. Have Layla Gray just turn on her, and then Athena hits the move and wins the match. That's how you do it.
And
I'm fine if it's that way.
And I'll be honest, like, I felt from the moment that Athena joined AEW that she was the one that was gonna end the Jade Cargill streak.
She didn't end Asuka's streak, so she's going for Jade's. I see it.
Yeah, let's go with that.
No, they did. Like, remember, that was the big thing, is she wanted to be the one that ended Asuka's streak, and then she lost to Asuka, and I think they were gonna put her over Asuka, and then Asuka got hurt, and they just did the whole relinquish the title thing. So, and then they gave it to I think.
I'm gonna say this, and it's not me like trying to hate on any of like AEW women. I just never felt there was anybody in AEW that was going to take away her streak. I think Statlander for a minute, but then unfortunately Statlander ended up getting hurt. But I think I just think Athena's the hired hitman. Like, she's going to end the streak.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be like Sasha Banks for a moment, because you needed a big enough name to end the streak. And I don't know. It's like if I'm in the building for Jade's streak ending, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, Jade should never lose.
Hey,
she should be on.
Hey, who knows? Maybe Mercedes shows up on Sunday and not in Chicago and not in Cardiff.
Well, we'll know before then. We'll definitely know.
All right. We then have the four-way for the interim Women's World Championship: Toni Storm, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida. While I do think Toni Storm would be a nice little move, I do think they're going to put it back on Britt Baker, just because she is the safest bet right now. Jamie Hayter would be cool to see that happen too, just for craziness factor. But I think it's going to be Britt Baker.
DMD.
There you go, JR.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Toni Storm.
Yeah, I mean, that was where I was going at first, but I just feel like they're going to want to wait until Thunder Rosa is going to be closer to be coming back, and then that's when Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa can face off again for the title versus title thing. I think they're going to wait on that, though. Plus, I think it'll be a bigger moment if Toni Storm beats Britt Baker, as opposed to her just winning a four-way. But regardless, I do think that's at least my thought. Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. It's Swerve in Our Glory all day, every day. I love the Acclaimed, but this is a good defense for Keith Lee and Swerve.
They ain't no killers. I said it already. They're no killers. Swerve in Our Glory.
Okay. Go ahead, JR.
I'm gonna go with the Acclaim, and on top of that, I'm gonna throw another bold prediction. Swerve is going to turn on Keith Lee after the match.
All right.
Bold prediction, sure to go wrong.
Also, I will say before we get to who we think are going to be in the trios match as well, like the trios finals as well. We also have to say Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii was announced late tonight when we're recording this for 0 hour. Be now running instead of the buy-in, it's now 0 hour. Tomohiro Ishii versus Eddie Kingston. And I will say first, I think Ishii wins, just because I think if this is going to be viewed as like a punishment for Eddie Kingston for his drama that happened backstage, I just think Ishii wins, honestly. Maybe that's just me, but I'll pass it off to you guys since I wanted to mention that real quick.
How are you gonna punish him by giving him a better match than the match before?
I don't know.
I mean, I love Sammy, but if you're just asking based on my taste of matches, like, hey, would you rather watch Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara, really good match, or would you rather watch two killers try to kill each other? Tomohiro Ishii and Eddie Kingston slapping the shit out of each other, chopping each other, headbutting each other. Which match would you rather see? It's not really a tough decision for me. Last year I believe it All Out, it was Eddie Kingston versus Miro, and it slapped. It was great. It was a banger, and they just beat the shit out of each other for 10 minutes. That's all I want from this match. I don't need a 30-minute classic. I don't need a 5-star match. I just want two men bumping meat. I would call them big men, but they fight like big men, but they're, kind of small. Bumping meat, let's go. I'm like, man, I'm so excited about this match. They announced this match. You would have thought they, announced the main event. I was like, I get to watch Eddie Kingston and Tomohiro Ishii beat the shit out of each other. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
JR, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I stepped on you.
Yep, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna say I win because I get to see a house fight. I get to see big meaty man stab me.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then since I don't think we'll be able to say what the casino ladder match is because it's gonna be tough to be able to just put in like 5 or 6 people for that match. Who do we think are the final teams for the World Trios Titles tournament, and who wins it? Obviously, I think the Elite will be on one side of it, and then I think on the other end, who's on the other end of the show as well? Of the
It'll
bracket,
be either the Dark Order or the Best Friends.
Okay. I would say Dark Order, just to give it a little bit more of like the Elite and having Hangman in their corner and having the controversy there. So I would say Dark Order and the Elite are the finals, and then the Elite win it.
JR, I'm going to let you go first.
God, this is so tough because, like, from the beginning, I was like, man, I can totally see Tony Khan putting the belts on the Best Friends. But at the same time, like, someone had brought up, like, well, it kind of makes sense for there to be, like, Dark Order versus the Elite because Hangman, and I'm just kind of torn. So I'm gonna go with, and for this reason, there's a reason why, and I'll give you this prediction also. I'm going to go with Dark Order versus the Elite. Now I'm going to add in 2 bold predictions because I have to be extra. I think, I don't know what you would call them, but I'll just say Cold Red Dragon will cost the Elite the match at All Out, which would lead Dark Order to winning and becoming Trios champion. But to segue, because you didn't ask for us, but again, I got to be extra. I think Orange Cassidy is going to be in the Casino ladder match and win the Casino ladder match.
Okay.
All right. So you were close to what I was going to say, JR, and I thought you were going to step on my line. I saw it immediately Friday when 10 comes out with a big knee brace and he sells the knee in the match. The Dark Order is going to beat the Best Friends. But it's going to be announced that 10 is too injured to continue. And the Hangman, Adam Page, is going to take his place. And it will be Reynolds Silver and Hangman versus the Elite at All Out for the first ever 6-man champion. And I think Hangman and the Dark Order are your first ever 6-man tag champs. And bold prediction, not even announcing who was out there, I'm taking Darby Allin to win the ladder match.
Yeah, I'll pick that too, honestly. Darby seems like a safe bet, I think.
But yes, Hangman, I don't know have y'all saw that on the internet? I saw it since Friday, and I was like, hold on to it. Don't share it. And then, I think Hangman's going to end up being it All Out in a match, which is not shocking at all once you put it, once I put it together.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that will close things out for All Things Elite, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, we got them all. We got all the things that were elite in this show.
And then the one thing that was incredibly not elite. So, yeah. This was the most painful experience of my life. I just want you people to know that. So, appreciate you putting up with my despicable mood. And if you didn't, go fuck yourself. Because I'm not in the mood to please anybody at this point. Fix CM Punk now. I will say it every show until they do. Fix CM Punk now. That will be my fucking catchphrase at this point, I guess. JR, thank you for being on the show. Appreciate you having you.
I just want to know, I feel like I deserve a medal because all of us were in Las Vegas at Double or Nothing, and you were taking victory laps around me with CM Punk being Hangman, and I have not once taken any sort of bloating on this one. I'm just saying.
Well, because you realize how fucking messed up it was. If CM Punk lost the title to Jon Moxley in a match, in a 15, 20-minute, 30-minute match or whatnot like that, I would be disappointed. I'd be mad, but I wouldn't be as furious as I am with fucking 3 minutes. I think you, smart enough because you're a smart guy and you're an understandable man. Look, CM Punk went to war with Hangman on Page. He fucked up the buckshot lariat, but still won the match. Like, look, I'm fair to call a spade a spade. It's absolutely the case. And I went that way because you were the one that was railing me about how Punk was gonna lose. So I turn about fair play. And I appreciate you not stooping to low levels. I think that's fair to give you a little bit of a appreciation for that, because I think you truly see how fucked up this is, as do I. As do I think most fans, because if you're out here being like that was the right decision, you're wrong. You're just straight up wrong. And the only way that it's the right decision is if CM Punk comes back, turns heel, and then wins the title back. That's the only way that it's fixed. It's that simple.
Just because I love you, brother. That's why.
All right.
Appreciate it. Well, yeah. Follow the show. Listen to us on Google or Apple Podcasts. Share us around. Give us a rating and a review. Whatever you wish. We are at TAT Elite Pod on Twitter. At Social Suplex are the guys that make this show possible. Give all their shows a listen. I am at Austin Sumwoods. You know how to spell it at this point. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. And JR is at Lucha Professor. And at the most negative that I've ever been, I will let the true proclivity of positivity himself, Floyd Johnson Jr. He can close us out on this show. Fix CM Punk, you fucks.
So, I knew my friend Austin, Summer Weezy as I like to call him, was going to be in not a great mood. So, I saved this for the end, so maybe, just maybe, I can put a smile on his face before we get off the phone today. My friend Noah was out today, and he was out at the store, and he sent me a picture of something. And I said, buy it immediately. That belongs to Austin. Austin, well, you will be receiving in the mail when I get back. You are now the proud owner of the Walmart exclusive CM Punk. Thank you.
I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. I love that you did that too, because literally today, I'm not even joking, I pre-ordered the ringside exclusive First Dance CM Punk that comes in the ice cream bar shaped case. I pre-ordered that, so I appreciate that you also got me the Walmart exclusive one too. I will now have 2 CM Punk figures. I'm very happy that you did that for me, my friend. I appreciate you. I love you genuinely. Getting kayfabe and everything out of it, like with me being my pouty, bitchy self. I really appreciate that, man. Genuinely. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I saved this. I didn't even tell JR because I was like, I'm going to save it to the end of the show. Because I knew my buddy was going to be in a foul mood today. So, proclivity for positivity, we reign on. We stay undefeated. But yes, this is going to be an amazing weekend of the show. NXT has a major card. WWE has a major card. You get Rampage. You get All Out. And while All Out is going, you get my undefeated Florida State Seminoles taking on LSU, which hopefully, they can win. But I doubt it. But whatever. But you get a lot of wrestling this weekend. And there's a UFC show, according to JR. So you get a lot of fighting this week. It's a lot of people, a lot of men in very little clothing beating on each other. And it's going to be fun. And so I'm just going to say, watch it. Enjoy it. Love it all. It's okay to like it all. it's okay to like none of it. It's okay to like just parts of it. Just please don't shit on what everybody else likes. Just don't. Let them be. Unless they're getting in your face, you can break them down if they're getting in your face. But if everybody just likes what they like, the world would be a better place. I appreciate one of my closest friends in the world, JR. It's so funny. I talk about him all the time. Wrestling brought him into my life, and it's just like, dude, I talk to him literally more than I talk to my wife. So I thank JR for being on the show. This is staying up way past his bedtime. He would have been asleep 2 hours ago. I thank Austin for being on the show up way past his bedtime, because this was very much a longer show than we normally do. And I thank you all for listening. I appreciate you. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Have fun. Love your family. Tell all the people around you you love them. And with that, I will leave you the way I always leave you, whether it is home, work, or school. Always do your best to be
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. Between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now? In the future?
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.